This is C.U.R.E. Radio, your broadcasting conduit to the latest medical information, facts, and reports from the cutting edge. Your hosts are ANITA FINLEY and Cornelius Myers.
So, a gluten-free diet. Let's talk about that a little bit. The question of whether to adopt a gluten-free diet is especially timely, given its impressive increase in popularity over the past decade. In fact, gluten avoidance has become the most popular dietary trend in the United States, with approximately 100 million Americans consuming gluten-free products last year. Now, presently, there are at least 3 proposed clinical syndromes related to gluten ingestion: celiac disease, which is an autoimmune-mediated disorder; wheat allergy, an immune globin-mediated entity; and gluten sensitivity, in which celiac disease and wheat allergy have been ruled out. Therefore, the decision to go gluten-free is either mandatory or elective. A gluten-free diet is mandatory for those individuals with appropriately diagnosed celiac disease and possibly wheat allergy. However, many individuals elect to follow a gluten-free diet because of a presumed sensitivity. While approximately 1% of the population are believed to have celiac disease, it's estimated that as many as 60% of Americans believe that a gluten-free diet will improve their physical and or mental health. So it's their choice to follow a gluten-free diet in the hopes of improving digestion and bolstering their immune system, while also enabling enhanced performance and weight loss. And you can actually go to the grocery store and before you purchase something, see if it's gluten-free. You'll be amazed. And we'll be right back. Now I'd like to talk about 10 public hot spots for germs. You won't believe some of these already. I've tried to follow through on some. It's not easy, but I'm learning. First of all, if you like to swim, did you know that a water park crawling with 1,000 kids can have 22 pounds of poop floating around? And I have to tell you, there are a lot of kids in all the pools, but little kids can carry as much as 10 grams of leftover feces on their rear ends. They don't make a habit of washing off before jumping in, so all that poop just rinses off into the pool. It adds up, and chlorine doesn't kill everything. Now, the CDC found that more than half of pools test positive for E. coli, which can cause bloody diarrhea. So what's your best line of defense? Try not to swallow any water. Now, this is actually very important because we all go out for dinner. So restaurant menus have 100 times more bacteria than a toilet seat. Wow, would you believe that? There's a microbiologist with the University of Arizona named Dr. Charles Gerba, and he's actually known as Dr. German. This is what he says. They've touched by times. They're touched and touched and touched all the time. And so when you think about they've only been wiped down once a day, these menus. And if they usually use a used rag instead of washing your hands before you sit down. Scrub up after you order. That's a good idea. So sit down, order, then go wash your hands. And never lay your silverware on top of the menu. Okay, now, I'm sure you don't like germs with your garnish. So like a squeeze of lemon with your water, forget it. Researchers looked at dozens of wedges from the rims of restaurant glasses. They found nearly 70% of the lemons had disease-causing microbes, including E. coli and feces, that could cause some nasty stomach issues. So, next time you may want to take your iced tea lemon-free. I heard about this a long time ago, and I don't have lemon or lime or anything with my drink. I just drink it straight, as they say. Let's talk about the fountain of youth. We're talking about fountains. So, you know that if you have to take a drink out of a fountain, you have to be very, very careful. The best thing to do is just carry a water bottle with you instead. I know there's some fountains where the water comes up very high. But remember, there's probably plenty of germs on that whole area where the water's coming out. Now, soap scum. This is a good one. Ironically, public soap pumps are a breeding ground for bacteria too. So think about it. From the stall to the sink, there's no telling what your hands can pick up. So scrub for at least 20 seconds or carry a hand sanitizer. Now, what I do, because you don't know what 20 seconds are, I sing to myself happy birthday twice. Now, if you want to sing it out loud, you can do that. But that then really gets your hands washed. And before you reach for that door handle, think about how many people don't wash after using the restroom. The CDC says only 31% of men and 65% of women do. So what are you going to do? Well, most bathrooms now, I think, aren't even having handles. But I've seen people just take a cloth and open the door handle with a cloth and then just throw the cloth away in the restroom. Okay, now we all go shopping and we all use carts. Shopping cart handles can be downright gross. Turns out you're picking up more than just a loaf of bread. That handle can be swarming with up to 11 million microorganisms, including ones from raw meat. And just think about all the dirty diapers on that seat, the same one you're putting your produce on. Okay, a lot of grocery stores have antibacterial wipes handy, so use them or just bring your own. I know you're probably saying to myself, I'm going to look like a person who's a little bit phobic doing this, but it's okay just to do it. Now, here's one. Then I already started using this one. I'm using my elbow when I get in an elevator. So many people shudder at having to touch door handles, but they should be wary of elevator buttons too. Again, do you ever see someone actually clean those? Push them with your elbow, take the stairs, or have sanitizer on hand. Now, I just went and took the elevator the other day, and to get my elbow on that little button was not the easiest thing, but I'll figure out something to do because this is really good information. I'm sure that you're shaking your head saying, yeah. Check in and check it out. Hotel rooms come with a lot more than a mint on your pillow. The TV remote is the dirtiest object in there and could use a quick wipe before you channel surf. Other potential petri dishes: the bedside lamp switch, bedspreads, hair dryer, telephone, and unwrapped drinking glasses. When you get even a wrapped drinking glass, I would wash it out first before you use it. You just never know how it got wrapped. Maybe somebody just wrapped it before they cleaned it. But these are all, I think, very important items because they're hot spots for germs. How about, this is one I think is really important, dirty money. Now, it's not what you think it is. ATM buttons, cash, and a revolving door of bank customers equals ick. In fact, the flu virus can live on a dollar bill for 17 days. And of course, you're using your credit card, but you're putting that in the same place. But no one uses gloves or tissues to handle money. As for ATMs, companies hope to roll out touch screens with antimicrobial glass to combat cold and flu. For now, though, your best defense is to press the buttons with a pen. These are very, very good items. And let me tell you that all this information was reviewed by Roy Benarock, Dr. Benarock, and it really comes from MD. I get this from the internet, among other places, but this particular information was from MD on the internet. All right, well, let's just take a break for a minute, and we'll be right back. People who want to live a long life after retirement, they have to do some things that they're doing. They have to do some things that are different. So, membership of social groups after retirement is linked to a longer life. As well as taking part in social groups such as book clubs or choirs, volunteering can be a great way to improve people's physical, mental, and emotional well-being. Voluntary activity plays a vital role in tackling social isolation and loneliness, which currently affects a third of the older population. I hope it's not you. So while these people who are entering retirement often offer huge support to family and friends, many also wish to stay engaged with wider society and give back to good causes. 1 in 5 older people feel they have a skill or talent that they'd like to use to benefit their community, but do not currently have the opportunity to do so. The provision of post-career advice to give retirees valuable information about volunteering in health and well-being benefits could do a huge amount to encourage greater activity in retirement, which could be a real benefit to retirees and the causes they care about. There's some new studies that are going to be launched. It'll include a report saying membership of social groups, such as book clubs or church groups, after retirement is linked to a longer life with the impact on health and well-being similar to that of regular exercise. This suggests research published in the online journal BMJ Open. The more groups an individual belongs to in the first few years after he or she stops working, the lower their risk of death, the findings show. So retirement represents a major life change. With the evidence from large, long-term studies suggesting that the health and well-being of a substantial number of retirees goes downhill after they stop formal work, another new study reveals 9 weekly sessions of individually tailored acupuncture lessons perceive pain intensity and improve functional capacity and quality of life in people with chronic pain condition and fibromyalgia. This finds research published online in Acupuncture in Medicine. The beneficial effects were still evident a year later, the findings show. Wide and stubborn variations in longevity have persisted across Europe over the past 20 years, which indicates research published online in the Journal of Epidemiology and Community Health. People can expect to live to a ripe old age in northern Spain, northeastern Italy, and in southern and western France, but not so much in parts of the Netherlands, Scandinavia, and the UK, the figures show. And the UK has one of the highest proportions of the population living in areas of low old age survival. An increase in old age survival contributes to overall life expectancy and is particularly important given the rising proportion of older people in the population of high-income countries. So you can see that when you think you're going to retire and you're going to sit around, not such a good idea. We'll be right back. We're going to be talking about Alzheimer's disease next. So when a loved one has Alzheimer's disease, how do you know? Could it be Alzheimer's? It's normal for people to become a bit forgetful as they age. So how can you tell a harmless a senior moment from Alzheimer's disease? 1 in 8 people 65 and older have this devastating form of dementia. In its first stages, Alzheimer's may not be obvious to friends and family, but there are some early warning signs to watch for. And what are they? Here are some of the warning signs. Memory and speech. In early Alzheimer's, long-term memories usually remain intact, while short-term memories become sketchy. Your loved one may forget conversations you had. She may repeat questions that were already answered. The diseases also disrupt speech, so she might struggle to remember common words. Now, I want to go back, though, to the forgetting conversations. If you don't listen to a conversation first, there's no way you're going to remember it. So when someone's talking and you don't want to listen, I think you should just tell them you're not listening, but that they can speak later about it. Otherwise, you will misconstrue that your memory is at fault when it's just because you haven't listened. Here's a warning sign on behavior. In addition to memory loss, Alzheimer's can cause confusion and behavior changes. Your loved one may get lost in familiar places. Mood swings and lapses in judgment are also common, as is poor hygiene. People who were once stylish may start wearing stained clothes and forget to wash their hair. And we'll be back because I want to talk a little bit about some other signs of Alzheimer's. So just stay with us.
Don't miss the free 6th C.U.R.E Symposium coming back to South Florida. If you are interested in cutting-edge medical information, here's your unique opportunity. Learn what's happening in medicine and the latest medical research, all shared by over a dozen of South Florida's prestigious physicians and scientists. Mark your calendars for Saturday, April 9th from 9 to 3 at Palm Beach State College, Boca Raton. Enjoy a continental breakfast, meet and greet the speakers, and be the most educated in your community about the latest health information. Win lots of valuable prizes and hear interesting topics on medicine. Everyone who attends will receive a free book, Live to 100 Plus, by Bill and Anita Finley. RSVP is required. Space is very limited. Register at www.cure-symposium.com or call 561-864-1101.
Okay, and now we're going to continue with trying to figure out who has Alzheimer's disease and what else it could be. But you shouldn't ignore the signs. It's hard to face the thought that a loved one could have the disease, but it's better to see a doctor sooner rather than later. First, the diagnosis might be something else. The symptoms could be caused by a highly treatable problem, like a thyroid imbalance. And if it is Alzheimer's, treatments work best when they're used early in the course of the disease. So you ask, how is it diagnosed? There's no simple test for Alzheimer's, so the doctor will rely on you to describe the changes in your loved one. A mental status test, sometimes called a mini-cog, or other screening tests, can measure his mental skills and short-term memory. Neurological exams and brain scans may be used to rule out other problems, like a stroke or tumor, and they can provide other information about his brain. Now, this is pretty new because for years they always said until someone is dead and you go into their brain with an autopsy, you don't know, but that's not true anymore. So what's actually happening to the brain? Alzheimer's causes nerve cell death and tissue loss throughout the brain. And so as the disease gets worse, brain tissue shrinks and areas that contain cerebrospinal fluid become larger. The damage harms memory, speech, and comprehension. So, okay, now that you heard all this, what can you expect? Alzheimer's takes a different path in every person. Sometimes the symptoms get worse quickly and lead to severe memory loss and confusion within a few years. For other people, the change may be gradual. It could take 20 years for the disease to run its course. Basically, most people live 3 to 9 years after diagnosis. So now, as you plot along with this, you want to know, how's it going to change the daily life of you and your loved one? Alzheimer's affects concentration, so your loved one may not be able to do ordinary tasks like cooking or paying the bills. A study suggests trouble balancing the checkbook is often one of the first signs of the disease. As symptoms worsen, he may not recognize familiar people or places. He may get lost easily or use utensils improperly, like combing his hair with a fork. Incontinence balance problems and loss of language are common in advanced stages. So we know about incontinence. Now that happens. It doesn't mean that you have Alzheimer's. We know about balance problems, and that's the same thing, but it's a combination of a lot of these things together. The big problem now is your family member, someone you love, drives a car. What are you going to do about that? You say, well, should my loved one stop driving? Poor coordination, memory loss, and confusion are a dangerous combination behind the wheel. If you feel your loved one should stop driving, tell her or him why. If she won't listen, ask her doctor to step in. If she still insists on driving, contact the Department of Motor Vehicles for an assessment. Then make other plans for her transportation needs. Now, that's really important. It's one thing to take away a car, but if you don't provide a way for that person to go shopping or to go to the doctor or even just to go out to a restaurant, there's going to be a lot of problems with that. I know I tried this with my mother. We tricked her into something to give my husband her car to use for a while. And even though, because she had Alzheimer's, of the Lewy body type. And it just was very unfortunate that she never forgave us in a way for not letting her go buy another car. Even when we told her, go ahead, buy another car. Of course, she couldn't do it because she just knew that she shouldn't be driving. Now, here's the big one. Can exercise help? You know, we're all supposed to be exercising anyway. Can exercise help? Well, physical activity can help your loved one keep some muscle strength and coordination. It might also boost his mood. It might help him feel less anxious. So why don't you check with his doctor to learn which types of exercise are appropriate. Repetitive activities like walking, gardening, or even folding laundry may be the best at giving him a series of calm. I know that you can actually have people do something that they've always done, and they'll continue to do this even if they have Alzheimer's, and it makes them very fulfilled. So remember about exercise, really important. All right, so now you know that the person has Alzheimer's. How's it treated? There's no cure for Alzheimer's and no way to slow the nerve damage it causes in the brain. But there are medications that appear to help maintain mental skills and slow the disease's effects. So if your loved one gets treatment early on, she may be able to stay independent and do her daily tasks for a longer period of time. That's extremely important because that's really what you want to happen. You know that. You've got to really keep that person at home if you can, and keep the person on a regular schedule. Of course, you're now the caregiver, and you want to know, well, what is my role? What do I do as a caregiver besides get frustrated? If you're caring for someone with this disease, you'll probably wear many hats: cook, chauffeur, and accountant, to name a few. While you may have to handle meal planning and finances, encourage your loved one to do some things for herself. It may help to label cabinets with their contents and put up sticky notes with reminders of daily tasks. What you can do is be sure to buy a weekly pill box for her medications. Now, she still may not be cognizant of what pills to take when. So taking pills, very important. You may have to have someone come in and help her take those pills, because you don't want anyone taking the wrong medication. So now the challenges in caregiving. So in the early stages, people with Alzheimer's often understand what's happening to them. They laugh about it. She said, I just can't remember it anymore. Then they may be ashamed or get anxious when things are really not working. Watch for signs of depression, which the doctor can manage with medication. Later on, your loved one may become paranoid or aggressive and could even turn on you. Now, don't let that get you upset, even though I know it's easy to say. But remember that the disease is responsible for this change. So tell the doctor about this kind of behavior promptly. Don't yell at the person. Just if you have to walk out of the room, do it. But they really don't understand what they're doing. There's something unique that I've heard for a long time. It's called the sundown syndrome. Experts don't quite know why, but some people with Alzheimer's get upset when the sun goes down. This tends to last through the evening and sometimes all night long. To ease tension, keep the house well lit and close the drapes before sunset. Try to distract your loved one with a favorite activity or TV show. Switch him to decaf after breakfast. That's the other thing. You don't want them to, be hyper. And it's, as long as you know that this is going to happen, you can have some wonderful music on, you watch some TV, make sure that sundown syndrome does not affect them, because it really can get them very excited. Now, this is the worst part. You have to remember that the person with the Alzheimer's really is not doing this purposely. But sometimes your loved one doesn't know you. So many people with Alzheimer's have trouble remembering names, even of people closest to them. A temporary fix is to put up pictures of people they're likely to see often or know well with their names printed underneath. Eventually, your loved one may no longer recognize faces and may react as if family members are really strangers. This can be distressing to the main caregiver, and we know that. But you have to remember what you're dealing with. This person isn't really functioning the way they used to. So please don't have caregiver stress. And what are some of the warning signs of caregiver stress? Well, caring for someone with Alzheimer's can be physically and mentally draining. Signs of caregiver stress include anger, sadness, and mood swings, maybe headaches or back pain, absolutely trouble concentrating, and most of all, trouble sleeping. You'll sleep, you'll wake up, you'll sleep, you'll wake up. Because you're the caregiver, your responsibility is great. You don't want that person to get out of their bed and walk outside the door. Now, the one thing that we all say, no matter what, whether someone has Alzheimer's or something else, take care of yourself. To avoid caregiver burnout, which is going to be bad for your patient as well as for you, make sure you take at least a few minutes to do something you enjoy every day. Stay in touch with your friends and keep up your hobbies whenever you can do that. Find a friend or relative to be your support person. You can also join an online or local caregiver support group through the Alzheimer's Association. Now, getting down to paperwork, which is always a big problem. We hope that you have essential documents. While your loved one is still able to make an important decision, talk to an attorney about drafting advance directives. These are legal documents that spell out what he wants in terms of medical treatments and end-of-life care. He should name someone to make health care decisions and manage finances on his behalf. This will help avoid confusion later on if he's not able to state his wishes any longer. There's home health care that can help you. You'll find that assisted living facilities are fine, and there is a lot more. So tune in every week, and you'll be learning a lot more. We're going to talk about cancer treatments next time and mysteries of weight loss. So we'll talk to you next week.